All right, welcome back. We are the Between Stars and Suns, episode 14. So much happened last episode. Oh my God. And we have Strax back today. Yay. And Smoke. We'll get to meet them. And Smoke also has to, and I forgot if I had mentioned this in the chat, but Smoke also needs to give Sir Atticus a personal item, personal quarters item. So we can do that for mechanic reasons. And then, yeah, I mean, everybody's got conditions. Let's just go over them. So the American Smoke. Oh my goodness, you have haunted, marked by taggart, and drained. Oh. Um, our Elagos player is not able to be here for the next 2 weeks, so we'll just kind of gloss over his absence. The vessel Mildred has shanked for Cremorne still and digging too deep. And the legacy, Sir Atticus Wellington-Hughes IV has marked by Peas Blossom, marked by Dr. Noble, and Salt of the Earth. So conditions upon conditions. So my vessel and my American are like, perilously close to leaving, and I don't want them to. So yes, I'm a softie, I admit it, and I don't care. So, all right, let's get started. Day phase can open up with vulnerable moves as well as investigations. But I mean, there's going to be something interesting that happens at the end of vulnerable moves. So, yes, if you don't have the opportunity necessarily to do the investigations you think, don't be surprised. All right. So, I want you guys to have a nice leisurely morning. I mean, if you want to get into the idea that yeah, the house is still kind of torn up looking from what Smoke did last night, have at it. Or this could be after the fact. I mean, you tell me when you want to enact these moves. But Smoke, can you
So,
give Sir Atticus a personal quarters item?
Sure. The legacy, right?
would
Mhm.
it would it help if we like played in the scenes a bit, Mads, and then
You
did
want to do
the
you want to do go ahead and do that, Eirinar?
Go ahead and do what? A couple of scenes?
Yeah.
just so you can get an
To give you
idea
some,
of like
yeah.
who Atticus is?
Uh, Actually, I'll give you an idea, and like if it works for you, great. If not, then we can do a couple scenes so I can have other ideas.
Okay.
Uh, a small bag, like a small pouch full of uh teeth of creatures he's hunted.
Ooh, all right. Cool. I'll take
Nice.
it.
Very nice.
Cool.
All right, cool. All right. So again, how it works is vulnerable moves. Do one hunter's vice with another hunter in the scene, or around or talking to the said other hunter, and then the hunter whose vice it is gets to create a clue for a threat, or invite the other hunter to ask them a question about their past. Okay. So who would like to start? And I'm sorry, Jack, did you have something that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, no, I have a mask of the past. I don't know when you wanted me to narrate that. I could do that now. I could do it later, whatever you want.
Let me ask you this. If narrating the Mask of the Past is going to affect your upcoming scenes, please do.
Sure, I can. Yeah. Um, I guess like yeah,
And
we can
just tell
kind
us
of
the
frame it
prompt
with
and
that.
then, yeah.
Yeah. So the prompt is narrate a flashback to your young adulthood that shows part of your initiation into the coven. Name the coven. And we are taken back to what looks to be a very, very, very old convent. The upkeep on it has not been very well maintained. It's somewhere isolated. It's very green around here, but there are virtually no other buildings aside from this convent. It looks to be maybe somewhere in the Midlands or somewhere swampy. It's not really sure. Mildred is certainly not entirely sure of where she is, but she is here. She is with this group who go by the name the Ladies of Sorrow, and we see Mildred and she's in her room. She's alone, and she's seated on a bed and looking around. She realizes that she needs to go for a walk. She's a little bit restless, and she's always curious. So she starts to walk through the halls. And the first thing that she picks up on is, despite the fact that this is a convent, there are no overt religious symbols here. There's no crucifixes, no tapestries, no signs that point to the Stations of the Cross or any sort of Catholic iconography. It's all been taken down. There is a moment where she comes upon a pair of great wooden doors. This might lead into what used to be the Mother Superior's chambers. But she hears something going on, chanting, and she begins to inch closer towards it. The convent itself is dark. There's a moon out, but it's obscured by clouds. And she starts to sneak down this dark corridor towards the cracks of light that are coming out from beneath the door. She presses her ear against it, and she hears the chanting. And then it stops suddenly. Her heart stops as well, fearing that she might be caught. And so she begins to slowly back away. But it's dark. And she doesn't realize that as she turns, Sister Helena is standing right behind her. She wasn't there before, but she's here now. And the doors open up, and there stand the rest of the sisters. Except they're not in their habits. They're instead in long robes. They have symbols painted onto their foreheads. There are other similar symbols painted all over the walls and on the floor. And Sister Helena looks down upon Mildred and says, "Well, I appreciate curiosity. You will learn in time your place amongst us. Come." And sends a shiver down Mildred's spine. But she moves. She tries to fight, but she feels like her body is not her own in this moment. And she just begins to walk behind Sister Helena. She sees in this magic circle, she sees grains of rice. She sees a dagger. She sees a flail, leather flail with hooks on the end. She sees a bubbling cauldron, and she sees beneath it the roaring fire and a iron poker heating inside of it. Mildred looks back to the void that is the hallway leading out of this apparent ritual chamber. But before she can move or escape, the doors shut on their own, slamming with a loud crash. And Sister Helena just looks down upon her and then towards the circle with the grains of rice and says, "Kneel." And I think that's when Mildred sort of jumps up awake in the pre-dawn hours, just panting and sweating, feeling the sharp pain from the shank at her side. But yeah, I think that we'll end up there.
All right. So the gray dawn opens and streams through Hargrave House windows into each of your chambers. You can narrate a little bit of what you do in the morning, or, who you go to. Who do you look towards this morning? This very strange, cold morning at Hargrave House.
I would like Atticus to engage with Mildred, kind of knocking knocking with an elbow, and then coming in with various medical supplies and just a hastily scrawled handwritten note from a certain doctor that we are all familiar with. Pardon the intrusion, Mildred. I came to see if I could help with your injury today.
You see that she's seated up already, holding her side. There's a little bit of red spotting underneath her white nightgown. The other thing that you probably quickly notice would be that there's a shift beneath the bed. The bed almost lowers as soon as you step in, and there's this low growl. But it's brief. You're not quite sure maybe if you heard it or not. But she looks to you and says, "Yeah, exactly." She looks to you, gripping her side, and says, "No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I woke you, but no, I appreciate the help. I've been taking care of myself, though."
He immediately starts laying out the antiseptic, the additional bandages, and kind of a chaotic fashion, but it's in an order that he at least understands. And you see that he is referring to the hand scrawled notes, and he says, "I must confess, I'm sorry that I was not present to help with the skirmish that injured you. I may have gotten a bit carried away during
No. And Mildred will start to slip out of the bed, and she'll start to guide you towards the door. Listen, if you want to help me, if you want to really help me, take me to your room. Can't do it here.
Quite. He'll give another eye to the bed that had shifted before. Say no more. Bundle everything in one arm, heft Mildred with his other arm, and then carry her over into his room, which used to be Lord Oda's room. He hasn't had much opportunity to make it his own. There is still a corner that is filled with a bunch of boxes of finery and window dressing and everything that was once Lord Oda's. There is another corner that is very clearly his. There's a stool, and the burden is set up for some maintenance, and he gently lays Mildred onto the bed.
Thank you. It's quite austere in here. It's quite a departure from the previous occupant, rather.
Well, he had good taste in rope, at least.
Well, that was the only thing he must have had good taste in. Everything else was rather ostentatious.
I do need my apology, as he begins with pulling out the bandages and starting to pat your side.
Just, you should know that if you're going to do this, and I'm sorry, I've been in my head the last few days, and things have not been easy. And this has obviously made things even more complicated. And I don't know you very well, Atticus, but I have to confess that the salves and the herbs that I've been using have not been as effective as I would like. So I say this, that what you're about to see is, well, maybe unbecoming of a lady. But please be discreet. And she'll start to peel off her nightgown. And you would see that from the neck to her ankles and to her wrists, she is just completely covered in scars and different brands, and all of them, not all of them, many of them have sort of a arcane symbolism to them. but she's obviously very self-conscious about it as she's seated on the bed.
Sir Atticus takes it in for a moment, determining which ones may have been inflicted by combat, which ones may have been self-inflicted given your abilities. And he, after a moment's analysis, goes back to attending to the wound. I had a sister, you know. I had a younger sister. Father thought that hunting was man's work, but she was never quite one to take that sitting down. And given the business of the Wellington-Hughes family, she got more than a couple of scrapes. They're of a different sort, but they're nothing to be ashamed of. They are memories of places that you have been, things that you have earned. The pain was worth something, wasn't it?
You see that she's quiet. She was shivering at first, but I think she's gone slack, and it's almost disassociative, the way that she's looking off, drifting, kind of sort of looking into a corner, looking into Oda's items. It probably makes it easier for Atticus to tend to the wound.
Yep.
But she starts to finally speak up and says, I wonder what I did to earn all this. Your sister, where is she now? Is she still in the family business?
I'm sorry to say that it was unfortunately a bit too much for her. She is residing at a convent now. She is able to while away her days gardening, sewing, and doing all sorts of things that would be more becoming, according to my father, though the family did lose a wonderful hunter.
The convent. Well, I hope that she has a better experience at the convent than I did.
Yes. I didn't realize you spent time at a convent. The poultices are being scraped away, and we have unguents. There's some needle stuff. Atticus isn't a doctor. He's used to like field medicine at best, so he's paying close attention to this handwritten note.
Yeah, I think that given her means for spell casting, she's got a pretty high pain tolerance. So there's like maybe a little bit of wincing here and there, but I think for the most part, she's pretty calm.
What was it like in the convent?
I'd rather not talk about that.
Fair. I didn't mean to pry.
No, you should know, though, that the ladies of that convent, they have come to London. They're here.
Atticus
Have you
put two and two together?
Have you any experience either with witch finding or witch hunting?
Atticus purses his lips and pauses for a moment. Hags, once. Swamp hags. Similar, but different. But if it's a hunt, Atticus forgets himself for a moment.
Of course he does. Let's look at conditions. So, after this tending to and such ministrations by Sir Atticus, Mildred, do you think that you can release Shank for Cremorne?
Well, I don't know, because whose
Or
vice
do you want
was
to
it
say?
that we were supposed to?
Yeah, I mean, well, you weren't watching
I
any children at play at the moment.
Yeah.
I was trying to confess sins, namely overindulging during the whole drowned guardian incident. I was too busy drinking, carousing, and making a fool of
Got it.
myself to be
Okay.
around to be like, hey, you got stabbed, and I'm sorry about that.
Got
And
it.
I went to go eat some humble pie from good Dr. Noble.
Yeah.
problem.
I feel like Shank for Cremorne then probably be appropriate.
Okay. Alrighty. And yeah. What do you think, Sir Atticus? You think you can say that you've made your peace with Dr. Noble at the moment?
I like to think that this large man tracking down Dr. Noble against her wishes, knocking on the door, and just very honestly asking for her help for someone else might have at least cleared the air just a little bit.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. All right. Smoke. Is there anything that okay, so Smoke's vice is smoking. And I mean, you can always go to the nearby park to see children play. You can, I guess, smoke in Hargrave House still or outside in the garden. Yeah. Oh yes, and so basically, yeah, since it's your vice, Mike, then I mean, Sir Atticus, then you would either create a clue or you would invite Mildred to ask you a question about your past.
A clue. I would like a clue. I know that I did mention stuff about some family to try and bridge that gap, which I don't recall if the between makes like talking about your past at all a no-no.
It really shouldn't be. I mean, like I could have like, tamped you down like right at the beginning, but you know me, I'm all about stories. So
But clue, please.
okay. All right. So well, basically you would create that clue. Knowing that there's all these threats on the board, you would just pick one and then create like a suitable clue that you possibly find, like as the scene ends or what have you. Yeah.
Okay.
While you're thinking about that, let's go over to Smoke. Smoke deserves excuse me. Again, you haven't met Sir Atticus yet, or you could engage Mildred.
Yeah, I was going to find Sir Atticus, though I don't know, like Smoke has not, I don't think they've slept. So I think they just like come down a little late, like after just more or less tossing and turning in bed all night.
Mhm.
But I don't know where Sir Atticus would be after um tending to Mildred, except maybe like the sitting room or something. So yeah, if you come in, you'll see Smoke just like absolutely disgusting hair and potentially disgusting clothes, just curled up on the couch, sitting there.
Let's put it this way. You would basically you would come towards the sitting room and see like, like curls of smoke coming like from the frame of the door.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that, yeah, Smoke is probably smoking.
Okay. Yeah, let's say I'm mulling over the clue that I found after tending to Mildred, and smoke sounds about good right now. I'll step into the drawing room.
There's on the table, there's
Oop.
like the only organized thing Smoke owns, which is like their cigar box, basically. This
Okay.
box of
All right.
cigars and cigarettes is just open on the table.
I will is it the only box of cigars like around? Because I'm probably going to assume that those are just the
I
house
feel like
cigars.
it is because, like, as far as I know, Mildred doesn't smoke. Like, Smoke has tried to offer Mildred smokes multiple times, and Mildred has always just been like, nope. And Eligos is not here, so I would assume it is the only box.
Uh,
It's
then I'm gonna go.
like you can very much see this one person slash creature just like sitting curled up. I say person slash creature because Smoke is like probably dressed in absolute trash right now, and just just sitting somewhere like hair ruffled and like just feet up on the sort of couch. Mildred's worst nightmare probably, and just has this box open and they're just casually staring into the distance and smoking.
Atticus is gonna just lean against the door. Has it been one of those days?
Like, do you say that out loud? Like,
Yes. Yeah. No. Has it honestly been one of those days?
Smoke's going to turn around and be like, "Oh, you must be the new hunter everyone's talking about." Just stare.
Yes, Sir Atticus Wellington-Hughes the Fourth.
Can I call you something shorter?
Atty works.
Atty then, and just like put my feet down, like put one of my feet down, I think, and cross the other, and just like not really say much, but like shove the cigar box towards you if you want it.
Don't mind if I do. Look over the box for a bit. Judging from your accent and from this wonderful bounty, American.
I don't think it was that hard to tell. But yes,
No.
American, unfortunately.
Well, most certainly happy that you're here. Always could use another gun hand. Is that the correct term? Gunsmith? Gunner? Cowboy?
Smoke pulls out like probably they have like at least some kind of weapon. I think they probably have a pistol in their like in one of their many pockets. Just pull it out and say, "Yeah, I don't think many of the others here believe in guns and well, I know Mildred believes in knives at least a little bit, but uh, I don't know that they believe in guns. So it is nice to have someone else appreciate this stuff."
Yeah, I'll pull out my small powder box revolver that I've been keeping at my side since Peas Blossom knocked on the door my first day.
I'm going to say, I see you carry yours around inside the house too. It's a fun house, isn't it? And like, as you look around, you see that like literal paintings are probably on the floor, and like the floor itself has been ripped off a little bit because Smoke was at it last night.
You know, Sir Atticus is going to put the clue on the table, grab a cigar, light it, and then slump into a chair, not acknowledging the mess. Because honestly, Sir Atticus has had bad temper days at times, and he uses a sword primarily. So understandable.
Sir Atticus and Smoke are going to get along just fine. Yeah. Smoke is going to like also stare into the distance for a little bit and then say, well, why are you here? Why aren't you out hunting creatures that aren't, monsters?
Who's to say that there aren't plenty of monsters in London that need taking care
of? Smoke is going to say, I don't know, you give off the air of someone who would be more of a hunter of big game, not big creatures of the darkness.
The Serengeti ran out of game. The Amazon ceased to run a thrill. And besides, a family friend asked for assistance, a personal favor.
A family friend asked you to come hunt monsters for a living?
No,
Fun
a
family
family
you've
friend.
got there, buddy.
That's the family business. A family friend asked me to come to London for hunting.
Where were you before? Aside
Hmm.
from this beautiful city of things that go bump in the night.
Here and there. I believe it's a story for another time, namely. But all
Well,
that's important is that I'm here, and I've made a name for myself with a puck and a peas blossom.
those, I've heard of them. I got a visit from one of their kind last night.
Oh.
While I was in the middle of having one of those days, as you put it.
A large beast of a man or a lithe weapon of a woman?
It was the woman, right, Mads? Just to be clear, like out of character.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the woman. Yeah. So
Are
I
you
will
speaking
say,
of the tall woman, or are you talking about Titania, or both?
I'm not talking about Titania. I'm talking about the.
Oh yeah, that was a woman.
Yeah. So like I was just like, I don't think I'm misremembering this, but yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say, well, it was a woman. She had interesting ideas on what I should and shouldn't do in my circumstances. I don't suppose you've heard about them.
No,
I have
as
a
far
I
as
have
I'm.
a I have a stalker all the way from across the pond.
Oh, you're. Oh, this is the detective fellow. Yes.
Well, he calls himself a lot of things, but yes, he's here looking for me, unfortunately.
Hmm, I see. Well,
Oh, I don't
sure. It's
believe I actually ever introduced myself, and I'm just going to put out a hand, a very grubby hand, full, and also a very ashy hand, uh, and just say, Sky Lazul, but you can call me Smoke.
take that hand. Is it
Just,
is it a strong handshake? This is like you and I
yeah,
both
it's
have
a
like the
very
same level of like vitality,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. It's a very like grab like the hand and like kind of squish it a little kind of handshake.
Linger there for a minute. I've spoken with Elegos, I've spoken with Mildred, but I feel like Smoke gets me.
Okay, look, one of my dawn questions is, did you solve a problem today with violence? And the answer is almost always yes. So yes, that is how Smoke works.
Okay, I think we're gonna get along. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, Smoke.
Smoke's
And
just
we
going
could
to smile if you say that.
we're gonna cut there and look at some conditions. So, oh boy. Ooh, Smoke. What do you think? After this relaxation with your smoking and meeting Atticus, it's like what
I
condition do you think you
think
can clear?
trained is like the one that I think would be.
Okay. Okie doke. And then Sir Atticus, which I guess remarking on Peas Blossom or
Yeah,
Salt of the Earth.
I kind of
Excuse
want
me.
to get rid of Salt of the Earth because right now that's the reputation of like, oh, Sir Atticus is one of them high fault nobles. He has no idea what it's like to talk with someone who's like the salt of the earth. No, here I am hanging out with Smoke. Smoke's an American, like an outcast of the outcasts in London.
Smoke's also a noble, though, as it so happens. But Not that
Listen,
Sir
this-
Atticus knows, of course.
Atticus
Well,
has
no,
idea.
because that's a secret. That's smokes. That's smoke Sky's secret. Excuse me. That you'd have to, reveal
personal
only other
histories,
things. Yeah.
personal histories, personal hunts aside, like just
Yeah.
hunter to hunter, taking a smoke break and just appreciating someone else who enjoys the
Smoke's
art of violence.
100%. But yeah,
No,
Smoke is very
no.
happy that people like guns and smoking in this house. Like at least one more person is there now.
Very cool.
Yep.
Yup. So I want to take the opportunity for one more vulnerable move. So Smoke, do you want to go ahead and try to meet up with Mildred?
You know what? I think Smoke will, given that she hasn't come down yet and chastise Smoke about something related to the messiness of this house right now. Like it's very un-Mildred like to not have yelled at Smoke even once about what is clearly Smoke's is doing.
Yeah.
I'll go up to Mildred's room and knock.
She'll open. You'll see that she's actually getting ready. She's got her walking dress on, and she's got like a little cape because it's cold outside. Smoke. I was just stepping out to get some ingredients. Is there something you need? Or?
I just wanted to make sure everything was all right. Have you been downstairs today?
No, not since. Why?
No reason. I'm just unusually late for you to be up, after I am. It's just surprising, that's all.
Well, I was up over there. I just had a meeting with Sir Atticus. Have you met Sir Atticus?
Just met him, in fact. Fascinating man.
Yes.
We shared a smoke together.
Oh, that's the lovely scent I smell. Did you want to join me? It's just a quick errand.
Oh,
Just to buy
why
some
not?
herbs.
I'll just throw on a coat or something. Looks down at clothing. He's like, yeah, a coat will do. It's fine.
And I think when they start to head down, Mildred will stop and then look to her right, and she'll see like the floorboards taken up. She'll see paintings off the walls. She'll see like couches sort of moved skew. And she'll just, shall we?
Yes. And yes, Smoke's gonna grab like their coat from near the doorway and just button up the entire way. It's the only clean thing they have on. And yeah.
And while they're walking, there's probably like a park with some kids throwing snowballs at each other, running around. And nearby there's an apothecary that she tends to frequent with a friendly who works there. But as they're walking past, Mildred will go, so what was it you were looking for, Smoke?
Where?
At the house.
Heard something about Daggard, dynamite or something. Mirror couldn't find it. I tried with Mirror. I wanted Mirror to sniff it out first, but I had to check for myself, obviously.
You could have come to one of us to help you in a less destructive way. I could have cast a ritual on.
The both of you were out, and like rituals take time. This was just easy to do. I didn't find anything, unfortunately, or well, fortunately. I don't know. Maybe it was all a bluff. Who knows? Taggart's a weird man.
I think that was a bit of a slip. Were you hoping to find something like that?
Something like
Dynamite.
Dynamite? Well, I was hoping to get it out of our floorboards if it was there under them, so that, you know, it didn't blow up in our faces.
I've been troubled recently, and my own curiosity has gotten the better of me. I understand your desire to find things and to prevent things. I'm not mad about the floor or the couches or the paintings or the tables or the carpets or the vases. But I said this much to Elagos recently. We've lived together for some time, and yet I feel like there's a distance between us, a trust that I would hope that would strengthen with time, and yet I feel unfamiliar with you. And I would wager that you probably feel somewhat unfamiliar with me as well.
Swook is going to look away and just sort of shrug, like a guilty child who, like, you know, you caught their hand in the candy jar. That same sort of shrug. And just say, I don't know. I thought we were fine. We hunt monsters together.
She'll saddle up beside Smoke, and I see them sort of like on the fence, just watching the kids go at it, laughing and running about. I think we are fine. I think that the work that we do is dangerous, and it tends to muddy up the bonds, especially when we're in such close proximity with each other. I mean, when you arrived, I knew nothing about you, and you knew nothing about me, and then there was Oda, and then there was Elagos, and now Atticus. It's a strange thing to try and navigate our relationships, whether or not we're just colleagues or friends, or in Oda's case, not friends.
Smoke's going to look at the kids as well and think for a minute before taking a deep breath and just being like, I don't know why it bothers you so much. What's been going on with you? This clearly doesn't seem to have bothered you before. We've solved a few cases together, and I mean, like I said, I thought we got along just fine. We don't have to be the closest of friends just because, well, just because there's a monster in London that needs to be killed. We live together reasonably enough. And they're going to say the next bit as if like it physically pains them to say so. They're going to say, and I am sorry about the floorboards and the carpets and the vases and the paintings. Sorry. And the vases and the paintings and all the other stuff. There's no way I could go back to my parents. That's just not an option. And the alternative, which is Hargrave House being blown up, is also not an option. It's just not something that can be done. So, well, and both of you were out on other errands, so I figured I'd just take this one into my own hands.
I suppose I meant to say that the summation of my conversation with you was supposed to be that you can feel free to come to me if you need to, but I think you just confirmed what I already suspected, which is you don't need anyone's help.
Smoke's going to just shrug again and say, help is nice to have, but I don't like to rely on it. They're just going to smile a little sadly, a little just, they don't want to really talk about it, not quite, and just sort of shrug.
Mildred does the same, except for shrugging. She just stiffens up a bit and she regains her composure more, and she looks to Smoke with a smile and says, well, to being good colleagues and to surviving whatever comes our way as best as we can.
Smoke's gonna bend down like over this sort of fence, pick up make a small snowball and hold it up almost like they're holding like a wine glass, but like it's a snowball. And they're just gonna say, to Hargrave House then.
Mildred will try to reach down as best as she can and scope up some of the snow and sort of hold it out and just like cheers with it.
Yeah. So it's gonna be mostly quiet for the walk back. But yeah, they're going to be a little less sort of, how do I put this? Like they're going to be a little less awkward about just walking in close proximity with someone and things like that.
Before you get to that particular part, I think you're going to see two strange things. Mildred, I think as you turn away and you're both holding the snowballs and such, I think you see out of the corner of your eye the kids' snowball fight. It looked like one of the snowballs was moving backward. Instead of getting thrown towards someone, it was actually coming back to the person, like catching a baseball. And then Smoke, in the walk back, I think you're going to see in the distance, there's a funeral procession. Normal funeral procession, some pallbearers, and maybe some veiled figures, and a priest or a minister in front, doing blessings. And then you turn your eyes away, and then you turn your eyes back. The funeral procession looks like it hadn't moved, like it's starting over again.
Does it continue? Like, does it loop?
It moves, but I mean, it's
No.
basically like having a deja vu.
Okay. So once we repeat once, like not looping through it infinitely.
Do you still look?
Yeah.
Do you kind of like look away and back and forth? Each time you do it, it's like, each time you do it, it's like it's a little bit of deja vu, moving maybe a millisecond more than it did before, but yeah, you're seeing a loop.
Smoke is going to just stop in the middle of the road, just sort of like a cat with hackles rising, but kind of like that. Just stop and just keep looking back and forth. And then look away for a little bit and look at Mildred and say, did you catch that? Did you see that?
Mildred, who's sort of fixated on the park, will look back towards Smoke, who's probably walked a few yards ahead, and just say, no, I didn't. And I'm going to take a clue, and I have a clue idea right now. There's a moment where Mildred is just looking at Smoke with concern on her face, trying to figure out what they were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And she feels something tugging at her skirt. And she looks down and sees one of the young kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the child has a little sack in its hand, bundled up. And he says, Beelzebub says hello. And he hands Mildred the sack. And concerned, she just says, Thank you. And he runs off back to play. But as she unwraps this little cloth, she finds 7 freshly pulled teeth.
Shit. It's way too appropriate. And I mean, yeah, go ahead and put it in the thing. Smoke, getting back to you, again, for your particular vulnerable move with Sir Atticus, since it was your vice, do you want to invite Sir Atticus to ask you a personal question when you get back? Or did you want to create a clue for, well, there's going to be
One
something
of the-
coming.
Yeah, there's so many threats. And also I have like one Mask of the Past left. Yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
clue.
Well, let's put it this way. It's like, as I've asked Sir Atticus, I said, you may want to hold your clue for what will await you when you get home.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll do that. I'll hold my clue.
Yeah. Because
Are we good to clear conditions?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
So
right.
which one do you want to clear, Smoke?
I think I'm gonna clear Haunted because I think Smoke is still very not over the Taggart thing. So yeah.
Mildred, you cleared your last condition, which is digging too deep. Okay. All right. Because I think what ends up happening after you see these things and you get back to Hargrave House, I think Sir Atticus, just before they get back, I think you will see, or actually you will hear a knock at the door. No ring again. It's like it's a knock, but this time it's a very friendly knock, not a tradesman's knock, not a demanding knock. It's just a plain, 3 knock on the door.
Well, I guess since Elagos isn't here,
I'm
are
used
we
to
all back at the
opening
house?
door.
Not just yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Revolver behind my back, along with the newspaper. Open the door.
It is your very, very tall friend.
My
And she's
eyes light up.
smiling down at you. Yes. And she's her, yeah. So, miss me?
Yes. Are you here for a rematch?
As much as I want to. And this is where she will, like, out of someplace in her trousers, like she pulls out 2 flensing knives. As much as I want to. Unfortunately, this has to be a business call. I apologize. Maybe for later.
I'll holster the revolver. Okay.
She'll, holster her knives. And then she will move to the side, and behind her was a smaller woman, kind of medium height, wearing a burgundy hood. I don't know if you remember meeting my boss.
I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
I am, well, legends don't necessarily speak the truth. You might have heard the name Titania.
I hear she is a very fair lady.
You are a brilliant one. Puck was so amused by you. Oh, aren't you a darling boy? I have, as Cobweb has just said, I have unfortunate business, and I think we need to have all parties available to listen. And this is where she turns, and then you see Mildred and Smoke coming up the street. What do you two look? What are the looks on your faces as you're coming up, having seen what you saw on the way back?
Do we see Cobweb and
I'm not sure I
Titania?
understand.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mildred's glaring. As soon as she doesn't. Did she see? Has she seen Pet Cobweb before?
When you were leaving the cafe, and
Right.
Cobweb was kind of like standing watch, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's staring daggers as soon as she sees them in the doorway.
And Titania turns and says, "Yes, here is the rest of the party." And she kind of ushers you forward. "I do have some important business to tell you about." And as she usually starts off like, sounding very aged, like elderly, but then as she starts to speak to you all, her voice gets stronger. "Please, let us enter into Hargrave House. I will only stay, well, for as long as need be, as this is very important."
I think that might be overstaying your welcome, my lady.
Smoke's hand is on like their weapon,
Mhm.
and they're just sort of staying a little away from Titania, just kind of glaring at her.
"I understand your concern. However, I am here to actually ask for your help."
Oh, that's rich. What could you need help with?
"I am no vampire, so I can enter in without needing an invitation. But I would like to be invited in to prove that I can uphold the hospitality rule. The law of hospitality means I will brook no malicious intent on your grounds if you will do the same to me and mine."
Mildred looks to the other two.
Atticus is wincing, but there's this sort of begrudging.
I don't blame you. Usually I am at cross purposes with Hargrave House. However, this time, this is much too important to let that stop a joining of forces. Please.
Smoke.
Smoke is going to look at her and then going to take out their gun. Just going to point it at her feet. Look up at her and say, "What precisely do you need our help with?"
I was only apprised of this recently when my servant, Peas Blossom, came home with an arm that was not attached.
Little proud smile.
And his arm was restored by a Dr. Noble. Dr. Noble does not belong here. Have
What do
you
you mean?
noticed? Have you noticed strange things starting to happen with time or reality recently?
Going to shoot a quick glance towards Mildred and turn back to her and say, "Where does Dr. Noble belong?"
It is easier for me to show you rather than explain. But I need to be able to show you within Hargrave House.
Very well. On one condition, aside from the already agreed upon parlay, if you will. A strand of your hair.
Clever. I will see to your request. And she gestures to Cobweb, and Cobweb does the quick whipping out of the knife and then just like gently flicks a strand of hair using the knife, and the hair floats towards you, Mildred. And you see the sparkle of starshine on it.
As soon as the hair is in her hand, I will step aside and say, "We welcome you guests to Hargrave House. Please step inside. I'll get a spot of tea for everyone."
And we welcome your hospitality. And Cobweb repeats as well. But she kind of waves you off of doing the tea. It is imperative that I show you this as soon as possible before time runs out for everyone. And this is where she will lead you past the floorboards. She doesn't give another glance to them, but she leads you to a room that maybe you have never seen before, or maybe never noticed before until now. It is a gray door that seems to have a crack of light shining in its frame around it. And she says, "Cobweb, please open the door." And Cobweb does. Cobweb's a little taller than the door. And the light shines dimly from inside. And what you see inside is a cave with a stone inside it. A stone on a crystal pedestal. We must go in there, and I can show you what I mean. This is part of Hargrave House, and I will still abide by the law of hospitality. Just to reassure you that I mean no harm in this instance. And Cobweb will reholster her knives wherever she has them. Do you follow?
Yep.
As you get closer to the crystal, to the stone, she waves an arm upward, and it's almost as if there's like little dim lights embedded inside the cave. They start to shine a little bit to give a little bit more illumination, and it refracts into this prism of the stone and creates this scene, like almost holographically or magically. And what you see as she makes the gesture, she says, "This is where Dr. Noble belongs." And you see a scene of carnage. It's chaos. They're shooting. There are guests in medieval type of clothing that are running scared or trying to fight something that is it's a very confusing scene. But what you do notice is up on a hill above the fray is Dr. Noble approaching an individual in a knight's costume on the ground with a gun. And she shakily raises the gun to this person and says something. But then you see the swift hand of this person on the ground whipping out a knife and plunging it into Dr. Noble's heart. And then you see a man in a green hat falling onto this person who had stabbed Dr. Noble, and then the scene fades. With a sigh, Titania releases the magical vision. That is where Dr. Noble belongs. She died tragically, trying to defeat someone against Hargrave House's interests. Dr. Noble doesn't belong here. She also does not belong here with a 6-year-old son. She is the anomaly that is causing problems with time and space and reality. And if we do not get her back to where she belongs, our reality cracks. And all plans, all things dissolve into nothing. And
What would you have us do?
We would need to find out what is going on. Either convince Dr. Noble to go back to her place, or find out what has actually brought her here. She is a doctor of no considerable talent, as well as someone who is versed in creation. Her little son here is not the child that she has in that universe. I cannot say more, but just know that she does not belong here.
Cannot or will not?
Reframe your question.
If you know anything further, we need to know it as well, if we're to work as effectively in stopping this anomaly.
She is a creature of great grief. A human, yes, but a creature of great grief that drives creation. Sorrow that promotes creativity. That speaks to something in reality. Because it is difficult for me to explain. I don't experience this as perhaps you do, but she is happy here, and that there is a strangeness. It does not belong with her here, or possibly anywhere. There are Nexus individuals that must go through one particular thing, no matter where they are in the universe, in reality, for the fact that this Noble, Dr. Noble, has not experienced this, has caused great strain. I can hold back with my servants' help. I can delay or interfere to a point where no other current threat will harry you as you investigate this. She looks to Smoke. Mr. Taggart will not bother you while you perform this mission. And then she looks to you, Mildred. The coven is well in hand. They will not move while you are trying to solve this problem, which affects us all. And to Sir Atticus, she turns and just gives a gentle look of, I'm sure your personal shadows can wait.
I guess we'll
My
not.
son is affected as well. You notice he is not here. He does not know about any of this.
Your son, Eligos. Ah,
Smoke is going to, like, visibly, I think, stagger from this because they have no idea. And just look at Titania and just, I think finally they're going to resheath their weapon, although it's not quite a sheath, like reholster their weapon, I guess.
I can tell you where you can start to search for answers. After that, again, all I can do is hold back the dam of this, of the wave of the effects. Have you not wondered why now it seems all of your troubles have come to roost almost at the same time?
Mildred's got this stank face on right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's clearly unhappy about this
Mm-hmm.
arrangement.
Sure.
But she looks up at, or down at Titania. I imagine she's probably a little shorter. Maybe like roughly the same height. Who knows? But we will do as you request under the grounds that your word is kept, that these things that have hounded us, things that we search answers for, are kept at bay.
Absolutely. You may even find that there will be less of a problem when you return, depending on how you resolve this anomaly. I cannot say for surety what will happen. All I can say is what I can do, and I will not allow any of the other concerns to bother you in this mission to save us all.
Atticus nods. If that's your word, binding and all, then there's nothing but to do it. Give us the direction.
And that is the introduction of a noble cause. This particular special threat that I've come up with to try and help and save people. We will see if this works. Oosh. All right. So we have 2 questions on the board. Why is Dr. Noble in this universe with a child? Resolve the threat by either convincing Dr. Noble to return to her own universe or finding out what is going on. This is a complexity 6. All right. And then another question that you can answer if you want, but it would behoove you to do so, would be, who is Samuel's father? Answering this question will unlock a special key to the rewards at the resolution of this threat.
Cool.
Oh, so let me see, put in complexity. I think I put in complexity 3. Yeah.
Yes.
So before she leaves you to, again, try to keep the other things going on at bay, she's going to mention 3 different places, and you can decide to where you want to start. Okay. So those places are Dr. Noble's father actually works in a special department at Whitehall in London. And so she was suggesting going there first. She was also suggesting going over to the Limehouse district and seeking clues around possibly the Limehouse School and maybe the man in the sun mask. She was kind of smirking when she said that. And then she was also talking about going to the estate where that battle was happening to see if there was any clues there.
Isn't
And
that
if you
all the
need
way out in the
to-
country?
It is, but I mean, she made an offer to make it a little easier to go.
Okay. Like
You saw what was essentially the oracle room in Hargrave House. She knows some certain things that exist at Hargrave House. So yeah, it is within her power to be able to show you where certain things are. Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm able to, but part of what I was trying to do when I asked her about info that she might be withholding, I was kind of like trying to position that as maybe like an investigation move. I don't know if that's okay.
Oh,
but...
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No. I
Yes.
wanted to get the exposition, but
Yeah. No, I mean, that would have been fine, except it's like I was totally like missing that. That just totally went over my head.
that's fine.
Now I know it's like, for certain things, it's like you definitely have to say, I'm going to do this. Unless the keeper tells you that it is an investigation move or night move or day move and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. No, if you want to roll on that to see if there's something else that you can figure out from what she said, I'm happy to see what you get and go from there.
I got a 4, so it doesn't matter.
Oh boy.
Wait, is 4 plus what? Presence or?
Well, yeah, because you were talking to her, right?
Oh, I've got a 3, so it's a 7.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna. Okay, so yeah, you get a clue.
I'm gonna mark a mask to bump it up, though.
No, you're just trying. You're just trying it. I mean, like, you're just trying my patience. Oh my god. Ooh, yes. I'm gonna go ahead and say. Okay, so, go ahead and say it out loud, Mike, for the video.
So, given the new threat that is on the board, can the handwritten note that I kept referring to during the vulnerable move be the clue that I got from the vulnerable move?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can go ahead and put that in the threat tab as one of the clues. So that can be just written as a handwritten note by Dr. Noble, and then you can contextualize from there. Okay. And then for 7, we're talking with Titania about anything that could possibly be hiding or like being very too obscure about. Let me see. I think that when you were trying to fish around, as you do with Titania, maybe your entity or your sensitivity was getting in on the fun, because what you get a flash of as she's explaining or not explaining things is a flash of a gold Anubis statue. And Jack, I know you've watched Shadow Society episodes and stuff like that, but I mean, like, if you don't remember, it's fine. If you want to go meta with it, it's fine. Like, these are all things that can be, again, contextualized just as any other carved from Brindlewood game. Okay, just to reassure you, you don't have to have any experience with this at all to get some clues. All right, yeah. So you get that flash, and then Atticus has the note. So you got 2 clues on the board. And where do you want to investigate first? Consult amongst yourselves. Again, I do not want you to go it alone.
I cannot speak with Greco, given that it requires having the cosmic passage marked.
No, actually, like to take it, it requires the cosmic passage marked. I think anybody can access Greco as a move available to everyone through dreams. Like, in other words, you cannot be awake when you speak with him. It has to be through dreams. Go Betty bye. You really want to.
As funny as it would be for Atticus to take a nap and just be approached by Greco, like, hey, so I heard you were investigating the whole parallel reality thing, and Atticus just be like, okay, I guess this is happening now.
Good idea, if you don't mind. I think if Mads, you want us to stick together, if that's what I'm hearing.
Teamwork.
I mean, I would like to, because I just worry about.
No, I get it. So I think that it would probably be appropriate for Sir Atticus to escort Mildred to someplace like Limehouse, given its reputation and given, she's a lady and all that.
Although she's been there by herself before.
Yeah, well, exactly.
But I will say, because things getting fucked up, I mean, like, it might be a little bit different than you remember. I will say that.
But I think if I can maybe go talk to this man in the sun mask, and then Atticus can do some like reconnaissance around the area, and then after that, Atticus, if you want to go someplace, Mildred will tag along.
Yeah, I want to hold off on doing time and tide until we absolutely need it, because rolling the dice on potentially losing my character is not something I relish.
True. But I will say, I mean, like, like any other move, you can conceivably bump it up a tier by using a mask. You can afford it. Mildred can't. Just saying.
Cool.
Okay. So, yes. And then you go over to Limehouse, and why I didn't pull that up when I had first proposed that, I don't know why. My apologies.
Did we need to answer the establishing question?
Well, I mean, like, there's it's not a matter of an establishing question, because otherwise it would say unlock for answer this questioning, like, unlocks the next opportunity. If it was one of those, it would say that, but it's not. It's basically where you would answer the one question, but then if you answered the second one, then it unlocks the special key thing for the rewards. When you get them.
I meant in the description, it says establishing question.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, it's like I forgot about an establishing question. All right, great. So the establishing question was, what do each of you see as you step outside Hargrave House that indicates time and reality has gone awry?
Well, you stole my idea, because it was going to be the kids playing with snowballs backwards. But I think the other thing that Mildred would notice would be that, given the weather and the time in which Oda raised her garden, how she's been trying to take care of it, the plants are fully grown, and they shouldn't be. There's still several weeks from being at that point, but for some reason they are now fully grown. Some of them are even looking like they're about to die.
The celestial bodies are smeared. By that I mean the sun, normally an orb, is just kind of stretched out, as if it were moving at a different pace than one would expect. And I'm sure if the moon were to come out, it would also be in a similar sort of shape.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, okay. So you go over to the Limehouse district. And like I said, should have pulled that one up. And of course I didn't. Because why? You know what? We're just gonna make it up. So Limehouse district, I mean, it's the Limehouse School, for instance, is essentially labeled as a school, but it's really a workhouse for children that, again, are going to be, you know, being more laborers than anything else until they can be put out into society. So, do you go specifically to the opium den for the Man in the Sun Mask? Do you go directly there?
Mildred does. I don't know where Atticus goes, but Mildred's just going to the opium den.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, Atticus, it's like the Limehouse is again kind of serves a different section of the London dockside. Not
Okay.
like not in the same place as the Drowned Guardian, but I mean, like it's got it's like the sailors. It has trade going on around, and then definitely stuff
Has some
for the
trade
trade.
going on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So like the other trades and an opium den, of course, which is where Mildred's going to go see the Man in the Sun Mask, and Limehouse School, which is a workhouse. So that kind of gives you a fairly good idea of like what this place is about. Where did you want to go?
I guess it's a different sort of clientele. It's sailors. I mean, just kind of keeping an eye out for threats. If there's anyone who's cognizant, maybe asking around if Dr. Noble's been here. This seems like a place where a doctor would have plenty of subjects to help or take advantage of, depending on her mood, I guess.
That's a good thing to start with. Let me go ahead and start with that. So let's call that investigation through just presence. You don't need to have like in want of privilege for this,
Yeah.
You could just do it like you're like asking around. So go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to try to pull anything from personal quarters or whatever, but I mean,
I'm
like that's just
scrolling
an
down
offer.
to look at that now. No, nothing for now. I will just roll.
Got it.
Heck yeah, that's a 9 + 1, which is a 10.
Nice. Okay, great. So yeah, you get especially when you ask around the Limehouse School, you find out that Dr. Noble has actually been making that part of her rounds. Like, there was a case there, and then she helped out Scotland Yard, but then she took an interest in the Limehouse School, and she's been trying to make some improvements upon it. She's been trying to, make that part of her like actual examination rounds. She'll give regular medical care of sort to the kids weekly, just to check them up and make sure that they're doing fine, regardless of what their guardians say, da da da. And so yeah, I mean, she's got a decent reputation around this place.
Okay.
What specific thing do you think that you're angling for, besides finding out whether she's been here?
Is there any commonality between the people that she is caring for? Like, what is her motivation? Like, aside, is she just a do-gooder? Is she doing it for altruism? Is it because she's trying to prevent something? Is she trying to answer a question? Why does she do it? What's her motive? As I understand, according to what Titania was saying, she loses her child. Like, the loss of the child is the core sorrow, tragedy that makes Dr. Noble who Dr. Noble is helping these kids in any way sort of an outpouring of that love that she has, not just for her child, but for children in general.
Let me give that answer in the form of a clue. You talk with some of these people and you're even brought to like maybe a desk that Dr. Noble uses as a touchdown space, like when she's at Limehouse School. And what you find is something that already doesn't fit. However, it's one of those things that if you're sensitive to such a thing, you'd know it doesn't fit because it doesn't belong in this particular reality. Okay. So what it is a man's handkerchief with spots of bloody sputum. Okay. And then Mildred, you are visiting the man in the sun mask. Let's go ahead and read this move yet again. If you have it up, go ahead and read it in the moves reference tab.
Sure. The man in the sun mask becomes a recurring side character. You get one extra clue on the information move when you seek his counsel about other worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And I think that even happens if you do a miss. So you don't get initial clue and another clue, you just get one clue. So you know, and remind me about that just in case it happens.
Wait, what do you mean?
Okay, so it says one extra clue on the information move when you seek his counsel about other worlds.
Mhm.
I think even on a miss, you will get a clue, just not another clue, right?
Got it.
And that's how I'm reading it because it's like, I think that's how it was done for me. So, yeah. All right. So, yes, you seek out the man in the sun mask. I mean, Jenny Johnson's there, and she's, welcoming you back. So she knows you, but maybe doesn't quite remember you in the same way that you were there initially. And the opium den has changed. Before, it was kind of like maybe bunk beds or like cushions, like, around, and like kind of creating little spaces, little cubicles, depending on how they were done. Paint the scene. And Mike, you don't even have to know anything about it, but just kind of like give a strange piece of information for this. How does the opium den look different from maybe where you remember or what it should be?
The walls, which just used to be like, most of them were wood panels covered with different like illustrations on paper. Some of them had like a faded red wallpaper. But now the walls are all covered in a sapphire blue damask wallpaper.
Carpeting that is entirely too nice for an opium den on the docks. Imported, comfortable, nice to feel. How they keep it clean, all pristine, all clean, very well maintained. How?
And this is even more apparent because the people that are in here right now, it is a place for all folks. And I mean all folks. I mean, like, people in rags to people that might be in brocades and stuff. But the particulars of this instance is that it is still wet, possibly snowy, and this carpet is beautiful. And even with all the sailors tracking in here, nothing's messing it up. So in his back corner, you find the man in the sun mask again. He doesn't seem to have changed, though. He is still in his lounging gold pants to his slippers and his brocade jacket, and of course that ornate gilded sun mask. And he I don't think he sees you right away. I think he actually has his back to you. He's facing the wall of this brocaded blue damask, and he has the pipe in one hand that you can see, and it puts it to his mouth hole. And then you see the tendrils of this smoke reaching up into the sky, into the air, and it does not look like regular smoke.
Does this mask, is it like a half mask or does it cover his whole face?
It covers both back and front. It's almost like a helmet that
Oh.
has like a space for the mouth, which is why, like, usually when I was saying it's like it was on the wall, I'm gonna say, because you can't see hair, you can't see hair underneath it. It's like it's literally like something that just, like, think of the Hawkman mask, like they have in the comics, like just like over the head and just showing the mouth. That's kind of like what's going on.
I like it.
But yeah.
Like little sun rays. Yeah. She'll get up behind him and excuse me.
He turns to you.
I'm not sure if you remember me, but my name is Mildred Bloom.
I remember. You were polite in offering me my own property again from my little nephew. I believe he's left Hargrave House by this point.
He has, for good.
Yes, he serves another. Although serving could possibly be a little bit too complimentary. How can I help you, Mildred Bloom?
When last we spoke, you had a presence about you, an air. And it's an air that I've only felt around others who could see beyond the material into the ethereal and beyond. I don't believe that's too presumptuous to say, is it?
It is not. People have come from many places and times to ask about strange worlds of me. Do you have a specific question?
I do. It was brought to our house's attention that there is a woman, a doctor, who is not supposed to be here in this reality. We're looking to resolve that, either by sending her back or whatever else we might need to do to fix this anomaly. Perhaps you could share some insight.
Dr. Noble.
You know her?
Yes. She is an inquisitive sort. She knows, or thinks she knows, what questions she has, what answers she seeks. But she can be blinded by her quest, seeking these answers. And she can also be swallowed up by the obsession. Something's different, though. I am remembering different things. And this is where the man in the sun mask seems a little perturbed.
Perhaps I can make this more worth your while. And I would like to roll the information move, but I'm going to gift him, if he would like it, a gold-leafed calling card to the Diamond Jubilee Tea Salon at Fortnum and Mason, where a certain Society of the Lilac meets. So I'll present it to him. Say, this Society of the Lilac might be of some interest to you. They deal in similar matters of metaphysics and existentialism.
You see like the the glimmers of a little tiny smile at his lips as he receives the card from you. And he invites you to make your inquiry. So go ahead and roll investigation move with, I love him because he's just so much fun. I'll leave it up to you. Do you think you're using your sensitivity for this, or you're just doing flat out reason because of,
I was hoping presence because I'm trying to
you can do
schmooze up to him.
Oh, well, okay, then I'll go for that, sure.
Yeah. That's going to be
with advantage.
Yeah, that's going to be the card. Math is hard. It's going to be a 12.
The first clue is going to be his thought. You gift this to me in the interests of, having like-minded folk to speak to. Would it bother you to know that among these different worlds that I've seen, that like-mindedness carries through realities? And if the like-mindedness is not continued or touched, it could send a ripple that causes disturbance.
I'm not sure I follow.
I'm sure your source had mentioned something about a nexus, about something that happens to a person, that happens everywhere this person exists. And if the nexus event is not enacted or completed, that breaks that reality. Perhaps this would help you understand what I mean. And in this is where he pulls out from somewhere in his jacket. He will pull out, and I'm going to actually paste this into the clue list because it's a bit, and it's a lot longer written down than I actually thought. It looks like a pocket watch with a lid, but when he hands it to you and then he flicks the thumb part to open up the lid, you see there's a pocket universe in this watch. You see like galaxies swirling in it. You see suns and stars in this watch. This encompasses worlds beyond worlds, all things that can be seen and unseen depending on what happens. But think, what if there was something tying time or a person to reality. Imagine what would happen if that breaks. And when he flicks the watch again, you see that the hands disappear and all that remains is seconds, the second hand ticking through these universes. So the clue is basically a pocket universe held in the face of a pocket watch. Okay. And for your second clue, your extra clue, would you like to see what I see?
She takes a deep breath at this, looks around. Is there any kind of like anomaly thing happening in the parlor?
There are people that are talking, smoking in their different little groups. Maybe you start to see that excuse me, the wafts of smoke are not drifting like normal smoke. Maybe they are starting to swirl into little bits and pictures and things that nobody else should see. But these people in their groups are remarking upon them. Oh, look at the little bunny. Oh, hey, that's your wife. Look at that. She's like doing the laundry. Hey. And they're just kind of like, like totally high. But yeah, they're remarking upon these things that they see.
What happens if I say yes?
You would be able to have the opportunity to see what I see. You just have to turn around.
She'll very slowly turn around.
And you hear from directly behind you, it is very important you do not look at me, Mildred Bloom. As the mask goes over your face, and you see, well, what do you see? What do you see through the eye holes?
She sees what looks like the inside of Versailles, just opulent gold and Baroque marble. Everything's gilded, but the hall is extremely long. It seems to go on forever. The windows are flooded with sunlight. There's music playing that she can hear that isn't obviously being played in the actual opium den. Yeah, I think that's what she sees.
I think it's even more than that. I think as you're looking down that long hallway, I think you're starting to see and hear what seem to be echoes. Multiples. Slightly moving differently, but kind of the same. And same with the echoes. Slightly differently, but the same. And you hear him say, "Look upon the people. What do you see?"
Out of character, is this a question for me or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She sees that there are these sort of aristocratic members of a royal court, but none of them have facial features. They're all completely smoothed over with flesh.
Interesting. Okay. So as you're seeing these things and marveling over them, I think underneath that that mask, I think it starts to get very hot. Hotter than the beast's breath, hotter than, well, being in full sunlight. And he says, I think that's enough for now, as he removes the mask and puts it back onto his face. You may keep the watch, Mildred. And perhaps you will find the reason why it is so important for Dr. Noble to return or experience the Nexus event. I think as you're going away from him, whenever that is, I think you see darkness, complete darkness in an alley in full daylight. And somebody in the alley or near the alley talking with a group. You hear the phrase, it's about the death of time and space. And that is your extra clue that I will paste into that.
Party.
Alright.
Yeah, she's in there, but she's gonna go. She's gonna go look for Atticus. She doesn't want to be alone right now.
Yeah.
The audacity of this dude in the sun mask giving this horrifying vision and then saying, "You can keep the watch," and then go.
He's a fun guy, I can tell you. Okay, so back to Atticus. So yeah, you're at the Limehouse School. You like saw the touchdown space. You see the man's handkerchief, and again, it besides appearing like, what the hell is this, right? But it also has a look about it that just says it's not of this particular reality. What is that? What makes it look different? Otherworldly.
Otherworldly? Something.
Or of another worldly. How about that?
I think it changes color if it's not observed. Like you can hold it in your hand, but if you look away and you look back at it, the fabric is just a different color.
Okay. All right. So do you go, do you check out anything else here at Limehouse School, or do you go and look for Mildred back
Look
at
for
the opium
Mildred.
den? Okay. So I think when you two meet up, I think you will see out here in the in the other space. Excuse me. I think you'll see, and I can't remember his name because I don't have it up, but there's a particular constable that makes the rounds here at Limehouse. And as he's walking his beat and whatever, you notice that his hat seems to change. I think they would have the normal like tallish hats, but you see it shift. And I think you both see this. Nobody else remarks upon it, where it changes from like the tall to possibly the squat, and then possibly into a cap, and then like back into a the bobby hat. So yeah.
Okay.
Where do you want to go now?
We had Dr. Noble's place. We had.
Well,
What
actually,
were the
Dr.
locations?
Noble's father's office.
Okay. Father's office.
Mm-hmm.
The
Limehouse, and then possibly the estate, which you have to go back to Hargrave House to go engage into, like, where she'll tell you which door is the one that kind of like, gives you a shortcut, at least for now.
Stay local, Mildred. We go stop off at the dad's.
Yeah, let's go there.
Okay. So, yeah, Whitehall is a row of places having to do with special departments, including the War Department and such. And it was named after the Palace of Whitehall, which used to be around that area before the 1500s, before it burned down or something. But special department offices are also located here. Paint the scene. What gives you the impression here, coming to Mr. Noble's office, that this is not a regular department of the Royal Military?
There are numerous awards, whatever the local temporary equivalent of like a Medal of Honor or a Purple Heart, but there are no names.
There's no patches or badges that specify what department they're with. The uniforms look like military uniforms, but there's nothing designating rank or department.
You get to the door. I mean, you're, excuse me, you're directed by perhaps like, some, what look like interns. I don't exactly know what the rank, like, the rankings are, since you don't really know, but there are people in suits and, just going about their business. There are small placards maybe by the doors, indicating whose office it might be, but not necessarily what they do. Regular door, like anybody else's. Do you knock? Do you wait?
Yeah, knock and open the door.
Okay.
That's Atticus's style.
Yeah, Mildred will let Atticus do his thing.
Okay. All right, cool. This is a well-appointed office. This is an office of somebody who has some kind of ranking. There's carpet or a rug, like specific. There's nice hardwood and such, but it's well used, not fancy for fancy's sake. Okay. And at the desk is what looks like a tall gentleman with a balding pate and mustachioed with a little bit of a goatee. And he looks up from his desk. I'm sorry. What business do you have here?
Mr. Noble, I am Sir Wellington-Hughes, a man who is never in want of privilege. I would like to use in want of privilege, please.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Pardon. Go ahead and roll. Okay. With whatever the move says. I forget what the move says. Presence?
It is presence.
Okay.
And I am going to check off the pouch of teeth. As you can tell, I am a hunter. I, as my father and my father's father before him, carry trophies to show evidence of our hunting prowess. Surely a man who is familiar with the family would recognize my bag of teeth. Will you let that roll, Mads?
Well, you're using it up, so check it off. So I will let you roll with advantage with presence for this want of presence.
A want of privilege.
What'd you get?
I I got a 2, a 3, and a 6. So I will take the 6 and the 3 plus 1, giving me a 10.
Jesus H. All right.
Woo!
So he does look at you again when you mention your name. And he stands up and straightens his demeanor and reaches out, like gets close to you, and then reaches out a hand and saying, "Well met, Sir Wellington-Hughes. I
Big,
believe
strong handshake.
I believe I knew your father, correct?"
Indeed. We may have gone on a few hunts for your department before.
Yes. Your name has been whispered about in the back room. You have some knowledge. I remember working with your father more, of course. But anything for a Wellington-Hughes, correct? So let's look at that move, because I always forget, what you get on the 10.
Okay. So on a 10, he has a history with the family, and he will help me for the remainder of the phase.
Okay.
Any
Cool.
information he can give is given in the form of a clue at your discretion, and any rolls that we make with his assistance are made at advantage.
Okay, great. Okay. So I think what he does, you talk him up and all this kind of stuff, just to kind of cut to the chase a little bit. And what he'll do for you, because he does listen to you, or actually, what do you tell him in terms of why you're calling upon him?
I make it a bit of a social visit. I want to hear about how he's doing, his family, his grandson. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
And then see how things are going with his daughter's family. Just, is the father around? I'm looking for any information on Dr. Noble. I'm doing the Victorian equivalent of Facebook stalking someone and just asking their parents what's going on. That is exactly what I'm doing.
No.
This is
I get
a hunt
it.
of a different sort.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, what he will not say is what's really going on with. I mean, he knows your family. He's worked with your family, but that doesn't mean he's going to be all buddy and crack open some beers and talk about the kids. No, what he's going to do is he's going to kind of give you a roundabout discussion of the projects that they've been working on recently.
Okay.
And one of the projects his daughter has been involved with has had to do with efficiency of mechanical engineering with life. Oh God. I don't want to get too snake oil about it. Something about life affirming, life giving fluids.
Okay.
And what
the
he'll
efficacy
hand
of
you.
Vitae. Got it.
Yeah. So basically what he'll hand you, and I'm going to put this as the clue, is he's going to hand you a journal filled with scientific notes by a Dr. Andrew Lyle. And so, yeah, and he talks about Dr. Andrew Lyle, how, so promising, being able to make those processes portable and able to be transported. But what a shame that Dr. Lyle had been sent off on a special mission as a special medical attaché and hasn't been back.
Mr. Noble. No, go on. No, go on.
Pardon, I was speaking with Sir Atticus.
I'm muted, so it's your turn.
Okay.
Darn it, he forced my hand. What was my train of thought? Right.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I kind of want to just ask him outright, Mr. Noble, has your department been hearing any strange goings on with regard to the day-to-day? And I'm not talking about a hunt.
It's highly classified. I don't even know if I can discuss it with you.
Even me.
If we don't understand something, how can we discuss it with any possible logical conclusion?
I see.
Mr. Noble.
Yes.
My name is Mildred Bloom. I'm an associate of Sir Atticus's.
Pleased.
Of course. Where is your daughter?
And he has to think about it for a minute. She is at home at my estate. No.
Is she supposed to be?
No, she's in her London townhome with, and then he drifts off, like he's trying to think.
Mr. Noble.
Yes, yes.
If you'll forgive my forwardness, it seems that you're a bit confused.
Yes.
Clouded, even. And Mildred will start to walk from behind Sir Atticus and just start to approach Mr. Noble.
Mm.
Do you feel clouded?
And he looks like he's trying to say something, but then stops, pauses, and then calls to the side. It says, Pope! And then a door that you didn't see before opens off to the side of the room, and in comes a medium-sized gentleman, not as, of course, stationed, I assume, as Mr. Noble, but he's wearing a dark moss green waistcoat, a small green billycock hat, and a jacket and trousers, and goatee, mustache. Just looks like a tough, like he'd be more of a bodyguard than anything else. And he comes out and says, "Yes, sir."
As he was calling out, I actually did want to use this as an opportunity to do something.
Sure.
So while his head is turned away, Atticus would probably say this, but Mildred has pulled out a hat pin and just quickly stabbed it into her palm. And she wants to go and press her hand up like against his like the temple of his head. And I'd like to use a rite of salt and smoke to try and like free his memory of like uncloud it.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
And I might actually, since I've got it, I might use another personal quarters item for that.
Okay.
Let me just look at them. I'll actually, instead of a hat pin, I'll use the gilded angel's rose with the sharpened stem.
Okay.
We'll say there's maybe like a brooch or something that she just kind of pulls off quickly and stabs.
Sure. Okay.
So rite of salt and smoke. Let me just remind myself what it does. So rolling with advantage. Ooh, okay. 11 plus 3.
Jesus.
So
okay.
Whatever that is.
12 plus. Okay, that does the whole cosmic passage BS, but I'm not going to worry about that right now.
That's fine.
You're basically doing great. So you're 10 plus, your magic works without any further cost. Choose your effect. So, yeah. And if, depending on your effect, I might give you something special or an extra clue, depending on how it pans out. You tell me.
So the thing that I was thinking was to communicate with someone or something that you don't share language with. But I'm thinking, and if this is too much, just let me know. But I'm thinking the language itself is language of reality, our understanding of this reality versus their reality.
I like it. Okay. All right.
And so I'm like trying to like, because whatever time things happening is, it's obviously warping like his understanding of reality. So I want to like pull that out a little bit so we can get some clarity.
Sure. Okay, so hold on. Let me see what we can give you here.
Sort of like opening his third eye.
Oh, no, it's great. No, it's awesome. Okay.
This is probably the most aggressive that Atticus has seen, Mildred.
Yeah.
I know. It's
This
awesome.
is impressive. All right. God. I think when you do this, Mildred, for such a stoic, steadfast man, he's standing there and then you speak that language. As the vision rushes into your head so you can clearly see what he sees, he is talking almost as a thoughtful memory. He's speaking it out loud, and he's saying, and I'll base it down into a clue in a second. But what he's saying is like he's starting to gasp, and she was brought home, a waistcoat with a stab wound right to the heart. And you see this. You see her body with the stab wounds and the blood in the heart of her burgundy waistcoat. And Pope, seeing this, will automatically come to you, Mildred, and will grab your wrist. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm gonna grab his wrist.
Okay. So vitality. This is a dame move.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, while Pope isn't like the skilled hunter and monster hunter that you are, Pope still has pugilistic skills. So when you make to grab him, he could possibly punch you back.
I fully acknowledge that. However, I would also like to check, do I have advantage with his boss wanting to de-escalate the situation?
Yes. You can roll with it. You can roll with advantage on that for sure. Yep. But vitality, if you're gonna actually reach out.
Of course. 4, 1, 4. So I'm gonna take the 2 4s plus 2. That is a 10.
Okay, good. All right.
Mildred is getting like forward and feisty. Like, let's go. Do not punish this.
Tell me how you interfere with Pope trying to accost Mildred while she's doing this.
As he goes to grab her wrist, I grab his wrist. And you said he's skilled. We're in the middle of the unknown department. I say there's just like a quick like martial arts flurry. Just like we have a bit of a skirmish until Mr. Noble gets his head on straight and says, "Gentlemen,
yes,
this isn't the war room." Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what he says. I mean, like he wakes out of this dream, not noticing that Mildred had her hand on him and just like shakes himself out. What kind of, this is not decorous. Stand down, Pope. And he does with a murmur. Sorry, sir. And
lick a bit of sweat off my thumb and rub my fingers together. Like, that was a good fight. I'd want to fight Pope again.
I think Pope sees this and just like you see underneath his mustache and beard, it's like just kind of like a anytime, sir. And then like you'll hear like a little bit of a whisper behind Mr. Noble saying, even better with a bet. And then yeah, so what else would you like to do here?
Let's see. So we've noted that very strange vision. I think we've gotten some answers. Does he want to send his man with us? Mr. Noble, we have leads on this. If you'd like to send your man here, capable as he is, to accompany us, perhaps we'd be able to get answers for you and your department.
I don't know what came over me. Yes. Pope, please accompany these gentlemen. Sorry. Please
look over at Mildred. Yeah, no.
My apologies. Like I know, like you know, she wasn't disguised. Okay. Like please accompany Sir Atticus and see. Well, perhaps take a visit to Marissa and Samuel. Maybe they can shed a little light on this. And Pope will do the hands at the sides and then the slight bow. And say to you, Sir Atticus, am I heading away with you now, sir?
Very well, my good man. Right this way. And then I will actually let Mildred take the lead.
Okay.
Yeah. Mildred will we'll let the gentleman leave first, but as they're heading out, she'll look back to Mr. Noble and just say, my apologies for that and my condolences. And she'll turn and follow the others.
Yeah, I think the camera pans back to his face. And it's like a shift where it's first stricken and then puzzled. Yeah. Within just a second. Yeah. So, all right. So you can, for right now, you have 7 clues on the board. And you have a complexity 6 question, and then you also have a complexity 3 question. So you can do any kind of combination you want with that. But I mean, like, you know, what obviously we can wrap up here, ending this scene, and then just go to dawn questions. Or no, we can't go to dawn questions. What am I talking about? Never mind. You can try to answer the question now. You can wait until you get smoke back, you know, for the next session, hopefully. What would you like to do?
I'm done to wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we could get smoke back and then maybe visit the estate, get a final set of questions, maybe we can do a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
No, that sounds good. Okay, great. So yeah, I mean, like, you know, you can start looking at the clues now and then start seeing if you can formulate any kind of theory.
I have a theory now, but it's kind of
Yep.
weird, and I want more. I want more clues just to see if I can flesh it out.
Is
Yeah,
it
no, it's
parallel
great.
reality, Dad? Because that's my theory
No,
right now.
No,
Okay.
it has. It's. I won't say yet because I need more clues, but
Okay.
the Anubis statue features heavily into it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And yeah. Okay. So we can, yeah, I mean, like, if we're not going to go into dusk phase, and really, to be honest, this is kind of, I'm going to run this a little bit like Waitley camera would be, except, like, you know, there will be some slight tinge of phases. there may or may not be an unseen. I haven't written one. So, I mean, like, we may just like, completely, forego the unseen because I don't have one in particular that I want to do or that I've written for this specific threat.
Okay.
But I can. I mean, like, give me a week and I could probably come up with something. Make it juicy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think I have an idea for one now. But anyway, we can totally end the session like almost on time. Holy crap. And go with stars and wishes at this point. I mean, unless you think that there's something that I'm forgetting, because you guys have been rolling so well today that I don't think we have a mask that needs to be resolved. And I think it was like only Smoke that needed to narrate masks from last time. So yeah, I mean, if there was nothing else, then we can go ahead right to stars and wishes. So stars, things that you liked about the session, about each other, gameplay, all that. And then of course, wishes, what you wish you would have seen this session and what you want to see for next session as a possible wrap up. Go ahead.
Stars for each of the vulnerable moves I was in. Jack, just the Mildred scene was very sensitive. It was like legitimately vulnerable for Mildred to let down the armor a bit and just show something that she was sensitive about. And we just kind of let silences linger in there, which I thought was good. I hope I didn't play off the like, you're covered in scars, like whatever. Like Atticus was trying to relate it to his own experiences, so I hope that came across well. To Smoke, who is not here, I am happy to have my battle buddy, somebody who also enjoys guns and violence. And then Mads, stars for the vision from the sun mask guy that was adequately disturbing. He was a very strange character, and I like that you gave him that air. It's one thing to like have someone speak in an odd way, but his presence was different. I thought that was really cool.
Just out of curiosity, so 3 that you listened to from the beginning, it didn't have Man in the Sun mask yet, did it?
Nope.
No, I'm just gonna have to wait then.
No, I also thank you for bringing back Cobweb. Like, just there's so many people that Sir Atticus has like a chance to fight. And then let's see, wishes. I don't know. Like, I kind of want to resolve the Dr. Noble thing with like a heartfelt talk rather than violence, given that Dr. Noble is kind of a tragic figure who's caught in a really bad circumstance. It's not exactly the legacy ethos of I even promised Smoke I would shoot something on their behalf. I did not do that. But hopefully we can resolve this with just talking it out with Dr. Noble.
Yeah. I had fun today. It sucked that Eirinar had to go, but I love her little twosome. Yeah. I really enjoyed all the vulnerable scenes, even the ones that I wasn't in, just because I thought that they felt very, I mean, obviously they were motivated by us trying to clear conditions, but they all felt very purposeful. And in particular for the one that I had with Smoke, it was good to have that because she's been feeling that for a while, and she hinted at it with Atticus, I think. Was it Atticus? No, it was Elagos. She hinted at it with Elagos that that she's been alone this whole time, or at least felt alone, and so she's trying to connect with the other people in the house. But I liked how matter of fact Smoke was, and I appreciated that. and with what you mentioned, Mike, the whole sort of like very quiet and sparse vulnerable move. I wasn't expecting it, but it felt natural, and it felt I didn't think that he was like being dismissive. It felt like he doesn't have a context for it. And yeah, he seems like the kind of guy who's always going to try to relate things to himself and his own experiences, but they're all very different experiences for most people. It's like, killing things in a jungle. So he's going to try and relate it to hunting down anacondas or something. So I understand it. And then what else? Props to you, Mads, for cutting away with this man in the sun mask the way that you did, because I was totally going to turn around and look at him. But what else? No, I did really like that, and like his tone was very, very serious and very severe and very different than how he was last time. But I appreciated it because it made sense. Like, he's a guy with his finger on the pulse. He knows what's going on. I'm sure he's not happy with what's going on, or at least it's what it seems like. And yeah, so my wish is just to, spend a little bit of time next session getting a few more clues, doing a little bit more digging on this. Like I said, I have a theory, but it's a little out there, and right now I need more clues to try and support it. And then yeah, other wish, and sort of a star too. I like that this group is not just sort of like pulpy violence, let's punch everything in sight. And so like, yeah, a talk would be nice. But if there's some punching, I won't be upset about it. I always like to, throw some spells around and do some crazy shit. But some tender talks can be very nice too, even if they, result in something very bad later, as we saw with a certain fish woman.
Oh my God, just keep breaking my heart every dang episode. God dang it. So stars, I mean, the placement of the mask, I'm glad you reminded me, and you did do it before you went into the vulnerable moves, because it just gave this whole new perspective for looking at the vulnerable move and then remembering what you just narrated and just being like, yeah, I mean, like, that was an amazing thing. It was just like, I'm in the middle of a movie. I like this. This is great. I mean, it was just like so incredibly meta to be here for something like that. And I enjoyed it so much. And even the vulnerable move with smoke, which still seemed very distant, but you're like trying to make that agreement of like, it's okay where we're at, because that's kind of where we are. And we just have to accept it. And it was fine, because this is how people relate. They don't necessarily have to be best buds. They don't have to be frenemies. They don't have to be, adversarial. It's just whatever it is. And that's fine. That's good. But yeah, I mean, like, every one of the vulnerable moves went very well. I was very happy with that. And I mean, I always say it every time, like, big bursting stars for everybody for dealing with my bullshit. Because I mean, again, this is like, something that I want to consider as a special threat. And my intention with it is to give you, Jack and Eirinar, as the vessel and American, fighting chances to be able to survive to the end. Okay. So there's going to be some shit pulled out, and then, I apologize now, but, we'll see how this goes. You haven't quite seen how Titania is going to keep those threats at bay, and you will next time. That is a wish and a promise of mine. And I'm going to rewatch this again to remind myself, of course, because that's what I normally do.
Not to interrupt you, but speaking of promise, I see that there's now a mask that's attached to.
Yes, and I forgot to mention it because we just jumped right in. So yes, there is a mask associated with this particular threat, and it's called Mask of the Promised. So you want to make sure that you use it before we resolve. Okay. Now you guys have been rolling real well, so this is great. But then, life, revenge, scheduling, whatever, may reversal next time, in which case everybody's going to be like shit next time. So
Please
who
no.
knows? Yeah, please no. I know, please no. And it only
I
applies.
got 2 more masks. I can
Oh,
mark.
God damn. Kill me. Okay. Anyway, but yeah. So again, everything else is at bay right now. It's on hold until you complete this particular special thing, and I promise this will be interesting and hopefully fun for you all to resolve. And I cannot wait to see what your theory is, because if it's anything like mine, they're usually wackadoodles. So I mean, hey, whatever you come out with, I mean, I'm glad to just like run and roll with, because I know it's going to be great. And even if it's not, I mean, that's chaos, and that's fun. That's still fun. So I'm trying to think if there's anything. Yeah, stars for able handling of your moves within, like, the different places that you were. And I mean, like, you're hitting a rhythm, which is great. And then I'm just going with what you're doing as a response, what you guys are responding to, what you guys are gravitating to. So, never feel like, or if I am railroading you, please tell me. But I mean, like, I never feel like I'm trying to force you into a particular like channel or anything like that, because I mean, like, I want to give you guys as much play as possible for narrative purposes. I mean, like, like, I remember, I'm all about the story. I'm not about like, you must hit this checkpoint here and you must hit this waypoint there. It's like, just whatever you feel it like makes a good character arc, story arc, just let me know, right? And then, like I said, wishes, I mean, like, to see what you come up with for next time, gather more clues, see if you can make them make sense, and roll well. Oh God, oh no, everybody keeps getting screwed on the rolls. So wish, no. I mean, at least have a mixed result. Mixed results are great. Yeah, and then come out of this with the result, with the resolution to give you guys a fighting chance to get to the end. And I will, here's another promise: there will be at least one stinger for next time, if not 2. We'll see how this goes.